What's up, Weirdo Swarm? You are listening to Podagon Infinity, the podcast that opens the door to all things King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. My name is Joe. And usually this is where my co-host Spencer chimes in to introduce himself as well, but he was not available to record this week, which means you are stuck with just me. I did do an episode once before by myself, which was my interview with Gizz superfan Ben Bacon talking about Field of Vision, but I wasn't truly alone because it was an interview episode, so this time I literally really am flying solo, but we've got some really fun stuff to talk about today, so I'm excited for it. If you follow us on any of our social media pages, you may have seen a post just last week asking for your input of your favorite spring and summer, sunny, warm weather Gizz music. You know, what songs or albums go perfect with this warmer weather now that it is spring, at least in our area of the world in the northern hemisphere. It is the spring season now, so we're coming out of that winter, coming out of that cold weather. It's getting warm, it's getting nice. We have had a bunch of rain, at least in my neck of the woods, which is normal for April, you know, April showers and all that good stuff. But we've had some really nice warm days, hitting up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit a couple times already, which is fantastic. Getting a little taste of summer already. The flowers are in bloom, all that good stuff. So there's a lot of music. I tend to connect music with a lot of moments in my life, a lot of specific times of year even, and there's certainly a lot of Gizz songs that do that for me, a lot of entire albums actually that I would love to talk about that really just feel like they fit that warm weather, whether you're out driving around on a nice day or working out or going for a walk or anything. There's a certain mood to that nice warm weather, and some music just hits just right with it. So on top of my input and Spencer's as well, even though he's not here, he sent me some submissions of his own. We also got a lot of great submissions from you guys, the listeners, on through our different social media platforms and whatnot. So I want to thank you all so much for doing that, for contributing to the show here. We're going to get into that segment a little later in the show, though, so stay tuned for that, because first and foremost here on the show, we've got some CAVS and some Gizz in the studio news to discuss. So let's get right to that first. Our first story tonight, a not-so-breaking story, because this has been known for about a month, a little over a month now, but King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard drummer Michael Cavanaugh coming out with a brand new album under his solo project CAVS, titled Sojourn, which is due out later this month on April 24th. All right, I'm going to stop doing the news guy voice now. I'm just going to talk normal. I was just having a little bit of fun. Hope you don't mind. So yeah, if you don't know this already, CAVS does have a side project, a solo project of his own, simply under the name CAVS. He has released one previous self-titled album in 2021. On February 24th of this year, he announced his next CAVS record titled Sojourn, which is due out, as I said, later this month on April 24th. On the day of the announcement, the first single titled Candiru was released, a 6-minute, 11-second droning groove that goes on and on without changing too much, but in a cool way that's kind of hypnotic and funky, and I could see this being great for a music to study, relax to kind of playlist. 1 month later, on March 24th, the second single, First Light, was released. A shorter song at 3 minutes 39 seconds, but faster paced and much livelier, while still maintaining a very chill, easygoing, groovy attitude. What really stands out more than anything on this track to me is the beautiful flute and saxophone parts. I also love the bird noises that come in at the end of the song. Both of these tracks have music videos as well. The Candiru music video features CAVS looking quite dirty and sweaty as he wanders around in the woods. He gets close to one tree to inspect it and pulls off pieces of bark, looking at them curiously, but eventually he finds the one. He stares at a nearby tree and the camera slowly zooms in on it and then cuts back to him and slowly zooms in on CAVS' face. It's like something out of a movie where there's two lovers spying each other across a room or something and just staring each other down. And it also reminds me of that one scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that's memed on a lot, where Charlie and Max see each other across a restaurant and stare each other down for an uncomfortably long time. CAVS ends up scurrying off to a nearby creek to splash some water on his face, but when he looks up, the tree is still there, like it's staring into his soul and calling for him. So eventually he makes his way up to it, presses his face against it for a moment, but then stands up, pressing his whole body against it as he strokes his hands up and down the bark until he eventually... all right, well, he has sex with it. He fucks the tree. I don't know how to say it anymore. I can't really get around it. He fucks the goddamn tree. And, yeah, so, and yeah, by the way, the tree just so happens to have a big hole in it, like way bigger than you would need to put your thing in it, put his tiny prick, let's go with that phrase, into it. But yeah, it just so happens that this one has a big old hole in it, and that's about where, crotch level for him. So after that goes on for a minute or two, he struggles to pull his thing back out of the tree. He has to push against the tree really hard until he ends up flying backwards onto the ground. And when he gets up, he has these sticks and leaves and all sorts of shrubbery growing out of his crotch area. Yeah, so that's about the video. Pretty interesting stuff. Taking the environmentalism, tree-loving themes of Gizz's music to a whole new level. Good God. But this ends up leading us into the music video for the second single, First Light, where right from the beginning, CAVS has transformed into full-on tree man. He looks like he's in a ghillie suit type thing, like one of those just suits covered in grass and leaves and twigs and all this stuff. He's complete tree man. I don't know what else I could call him other than that. Hopefully that's enough to paint the picture if you haven't seen it, but go check it out if you haven't. Anyway, he's full-on tree man, and at first he's standing by a creek, kind of looking solemn, looking down, and then he's back in what seems like maybe a small apartment or a hotel room, and he's got some drums on his bed. He starts picking them up and messing with them in goofy ways like a caveman, like he's never seen drums before. It's like this whole tree man transformation has changed his brain a lot. He puts a drum on his head, and then he's tapping at another with his hands. He's trying to figure out what to do with his new grassy self. He's trying to relearn how to live and move and learn about the environment around him. Tree man CAVS lays around on the couch, somewhat hopeless looking, and then it cuts to him running down a street, trying to make a call in a phone booth. At one point, he's in the bathroom, drumming with his hands on the top of the toilet lid, and then just starts dancing and grooving around all over the place. There's these close-up shots of him drumming in this ghillie suit looking type thing that it cuts back and forth to throughout the video. Eventually, after lots of running around and dancing and contemplating what he's done to himself, our tree man collapses in bed and passes out, and it cuts to black. That's it. So like I said, if you haven't seen these two music videos, they are really fun, really bizarre and interesting, but I love that he's doing this weird shit. And the music is really great and really interesting, and I am super excited to hear the full record when it comes out later this month. Before I completely move on from talking about this new CAVS record, I wanted to note the musicians that have worked on this project, the other producers and studio musicians. It is being co-produced by Jim Reinfleisch. We have Adam Hallowell on guitar and flute, Siwei Wang on harp, Archibald Pommelhorse, that is such a rad name, dude, Archibald Pommelhorse, he plays the saxophone. We have Celine Messines on keyboards, Robin Poppins, percussion, and last but not least, Gizzy's very own Joey Walker on the bass. There's a familiar name right there in case you don't know the other musicians. They do seem to all be Australian musicians, a few of them I believe Melbourne locals, and they either perform in other bands or they're just professional studio musicians, but either way, seemingly very talented people from the little bits of this music I've gotten to hear so far, and yeah, great stuff. It seems like CAVS got himself a great crew together here. And of course, Joey. We already know Joey can shred on bass. He doesn't play bass live. He's not technically a bassist, but he does record a lot of the bass parts on several Gizz records. And so does Stu when Lukey's not in the studio with them. Talking about the album cover for Sojourn, the set was designed by Michael's own wife, Amy Kavanaugh, who seems to specialize in floral arrangements. Based on what I see on her Instagram page, it looks like she does a lot of work for weddings and different kinds of photo shoots and stuff like that. And on top of Amy putting that together, the photography, the actual shooting of this photo for the album cover was done by Sarah Findley. One thing that's interesting is that since this full album is due on the 24th of April, that would mean that each single and the album are spread out by a month exactly. So the first single was February 24th, second March 24th, full album due out April the 24th. So I was wondering, I wonder if the number 24 has any significance for any reason to CAVS or anything. I don't know. But my birthday is the 26th, just 2 days later. So I am hype to have this new album to listen to on my birthday weekend. All right, that is all for the CAVS talk as of right now. Again, the new record out April 24th is called Sojourn by simply CAVS. If you haven't heard him before, that is his solo project name, just CAVS in all caps, CAVS. And yeah, listen to those singles if you haven't yet. It's really cool. It's really different than Gizz stuff because it is all instrumental, but it's funky and groovy and jazzy. It's just really, really neat and just really cool stuff. It makes me want to go back and listen to his first record. I know I've listened to it at some point, probably a couple years ago, so I need to give that one some love and check it out again. But yeah, check those out if you haven't already. Good stuff coming from our boy, Michael Kavanaugh. And our next big story for today, before moving on to the spring and summer jam segment thing, whatever, I don't have a good name for it. I haven't really come up with anything official. But we've got another big story, and this is something that's been ongoing for a couple years now, really, but it's really gotten some traction and some more developments, I should say. So there has been a lot of speculation for a couple years now of a potential collaboration between King Gizz and American bluegrass artist Billy Strings. It seems to have started about 2 years ago in March of 2024 when Billy did a Reddit AMA. A user asked, "Who is someone you've always wanted to jam with?" And Billy simply replied, "I want to jam with Gizz." Gizz being in all caps. They have been friendly with each other for a few years, it seems, because also in 2024, Billy posted photos and video of some of the King Gizz band members he was hanging out with, as well as footage from the crowd during one of their concerts that year. Apparently, Billy is pretty close with Stu in particular. In an interview, he said that when him and his wife were having a baby, Stu was one of the first people he reached out to ask how he manages touring and raising a family. Stu replied with, "Having a son puts everything I do in perspective. Work and music are important, but my family and their well-being take the lead. If they're good, I am free to go sing." Beautifully put. I love that. This past July of 25, Billy embarked on his first tour of Australia and was seen in multiple Instagram story posts with the band, seemingly in a studio or rehearsal space, so it appears the jamming together came true and possibly even much more beyond that. The Gizz Boys also attended one of his concerts, I assume in Melbourne or somewhere nearby, and went live on Instagram for a bit on the King Gizzard Instagram page while they were in the front row for that show. It was Stu and I think Joey, CAVS, maybe a couple of the other guys. It wasn't all of them that you could see, but Stu seemed to be holding the camera and they were just having a great old time rocking out and having fun right up front at Billy's show. That was really cool to see. So some of the most recent developments, about 2 weeks ago, it appeared that Billy was back in Melbourne once again. A video was posted to King Gizzard's Instagram story featuring CAVS playing along to a song with an acoustic guitar in a seemingly silly fashion, and Billy reacting to it, saying like, "Oh, fuck, mate," and then going, "I don't know if that's marketable." So the word marketable is interesting there, because you're like, okay, if you're marketing something, that means you're trying to sell something, you're trying to promote something, and maybe that something is some music that they're working on together. Seems like it, I don't know. But shortly after that one, another story was posted, this time from Billy's Instagram account, featuring Stu playing a guitar while shaking his leg all about with a little shaker instrument on his foot. I don't know if it had like a loop on it, or it almost looks like it's taped onto him or something, but kind of funny. You can spot Joey sitting to the left of him and Lucas on the right, as well as some other people that I don't recognize in the background. This also looks like it's in some kind of studio or rehearsal space, and the other people in the background I assume are, friends and other people that work for the guys in the studio helping out, whether they're, engineer, production type people or whatever, I don't know. But having other people around in what looks like a studio, definitely seems like, okay, they're not just like casually hanging out at Gizz's private space. Like there's other people there. There's other people involved in something, some kind of creative process going on here. So at this point, I feel like there is no doubt left that they have been cooking up something in the studio together. But what exactly that something is, in my opinion, there are a few possibilities. Number one, the biggest and what I think we're all crossing our fingers for the most is that Gizz and Billy have been writing and recording an entire collaborative album together, similar to how Gizz collaborated with the band Mild High Club for Sketches of Brunswick East. Number two, rather than a full album collaborator, Billy simply guests and has input on a song or a number of songs. I think this would be a totally new thing for the band to just have another artist guest on a track or a couple like that. In my opinion, it wouldn't be as exciting as the full album thing together, but I'd still be excited and happy for that. Number three, and this one doesn't feel quite as likely as the others, but I want to include the idea anyway. Maybe there's a possibility they aren't really recording stuff together, and Billy's maybe just advising them and helping out as they record their own bluegrassy kind of record. Again, I don't see this as very likely because to me, it just makes more sense that if they're already all together in the studio and jamming and whatnot, then I think they'd actually just write and record material together. So that seems to be it for now in the Gizz x Billy Strings news, but yeah, I think we're beyond the point of rumors now and something is really happening, so only time will tell. If you've never listened to Billy Strings, and you might not really be into bluegrass music, so he might not be your thing, but I highly recommend giving him a chance anyway. I am someone who doesn't really have any history at all of listening to bluegrass or much country music or anything similar, but when I first heard a song by Billy, it blew me away and I really enjoyed it a lot. The first ever song I heard by him is Dust in a Baggie, which is the final track on his first EP, simply self-titled Billy Strings, that came out in 2016. I don't know how I first heard it. I think it just popped up in my streaming algorithm, either on a playlist or after something else I listened to. I don't know what I was listening to that caused it to come up, but man, am I glad I did. This song is fast-paced, it kicks ass, it's so good. He's got a great singing voice, and the guitar playing is just next level. He plays so fast. Even if you're not really into the bluegrass kind of style, you gotta at least appreciate the musicianship going on here. So I highly recommend listening to that song, Dust in a Baggie, if you've never heard anything by him. And while you're at it, just listen to that whole first EP. I've listened to the whole thing, and I like it a lot. I have heard some of his other music as well, and I need to keep working my way through it. I know a couple other songs here and there, but I really want to dig into his discography deeper. He's got some other just really beautiful, slower songs, and he works with all kinds of extremely talented studio musicians. I don't know if his band is always the same crew, or if he works with different guys on different records and stuff. I honestly don't really know. I don't know too much about his history and his regular goings on like that, but I'm getting into him, so I really recommend giving Billy a listen if you haven't already, and then you can get yourself all hyped up like I am for whatever the fuck he is possibly cooking up with the Gizz boys right now in the studio. I am so excited for whatever's to come from that. Also, if you're listening to this and you happen to be a regular big Billy Strings fan already, let me know what your favorite songs of his are. Let me know what your favorite record of his is, any of that. I would love to dig into more of his music and have more of it to recommend to other people to help familiarize the Gizz fans with him as this collaboration seems to be coming along. That's all of our stories for tonight. This has been the Gizz Evening News with Joe. Stay tuned for further future updates as we keep you... I don't know, dude, I'm not good at this fake anchor voice thing. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, let's move on to the segment that I touched on at the top of the show, the one that you have all given your wonderful input on, and we appreciate so much. And you know what? In the time I've been recording here, I think I've come up with a decent name for this segment. If you're still wondering why we are talking about Gizz songs that go along with nice, warm, sunny days, I suppose you could blame it on the beautiful weather. Alright, so here we are talking about yours and ours, our favorite songs, favorite Gizz music and records to listen to as the weather warms up and we have some nice sunny days ahead for us, at least for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm sorry, I don't want to leave half the world out here as those of you are going towards winter, but yeah, please stick with us anyway. This is still going to be fun, and you can keep these songs in mind when the seasons change over for you later on. Starting off with our submissions from Instagram, Musically Ryan says, my favorite spring Gizz tracks would have to be God Is in the Rhythm, Nobody, Blame It on the Weather, The Bird Song, and The Last Oasis. Great submissions there. There's just some beautiful stuff there. I didn't even think about God Is in the Rhythm or Quarters at all, really, but I think that one, and maybe The River as well, could be great. Good vibe for driving around with the windows down on a beautiful day. I love that. Amy Ashworth simply said, Changes! Exclamation point, very excitedly. Yeah, Changes is a good one too. That's another one that I didn't have on my list, but Changes has some great just sound and energy for a beautiful day. You know, I keep wanting to say like while you're driving and stuff on a nice day, but that's, to me, that is the pinnacle, like the peak of the warmer weather coming along, is when I can finally drive with all the windows down and my favorite, good vibe music playing. That's just the best. So Changes, I like that answer. That's a good one there, Amy. Thank you. Caro Boro says, Honey, in all caps with 3 exclamation points. Honey is a good one. I didn't really have much of the microtonal stuff on my personal list, which I'll get to a little later after your submissions. But Honey is a good one. That's a very pleasant song coming from their second microtonal album, KG, and one of the happier sounding ones of that record for sure. It's a love song. It's beautiful. Our last one from Instagram is skid.zoo. Sketches, best paired with a J and an open window on a sunny day. I love that, Skid Zoo. Yes, Sketches, a lot of stuff on that record that I had come to mind as well. A lot of just really fun, light, chiller music. There's a couple songs on that album that stand out to me, like The Book, for example, that maybe doesn't quite fit that happy, chill vibe that a lot of the record does. It's, a little chaotic, a little wild, but either way, I think most of that record certainly goes along with a nice, beautiful, warm day. Next up, we have 2 responses from X, first of which is Idiot Lizard, who's reached out to us a few times before. I recognize that name. Petrodragonic Apocalypse, or Dawn of Eternal Night, an annihilation of planet Earth and the beginning of merciless damnation, with a little crying laughing emoji next to it. Thank you for writing out the full name. Appreciate it. I always love saying all of that out loud. Yeah, Petro, and you might not think of the metal stuff right away when you think of, pretty nice warm sunny day music, but that album did come out in the summer. It was June of 23 when that released, and so my first time hearing it was on a drive to the beach, I think, actually, so there is a bit of that summer connection for me as well, so I really can see that one fitting, and of course with the themes of fire and burning and destruction and all that, I guess it kind of fits with a nice hot day as well. Next, Zombie Wizard responded with 3 tracks, Presumptuous, Ice 5, and Sense. I like that, a nice little variety there from a couple different albums. Presumptuous, of course, coming from Omnium Gatherum. That is one of the nice, funky, groovy songs from that album, and I could definitely see that working well. Ice 5 as well, even though ice is in the name, that song just has such a summer, warm weather vibe to me as well. And it was released in September of 2022, I believe. It was the first single for Ice Death Planet's Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava, which would go on to release in Gizztober the following month. I think the first time I heard Ice 5, actually, I was mowing my lawn, and, it was September, which in my area is still pretty hot, usually still kind of a part of the summer for the most part. And so I have a very much a warm weather, hot day connection to that song as well. And you know what? On top of that, the music video also, features Joey dancing around in, I forget, somewhere in the Mediterranean. Was it Greece or something like that? But he's dancing around, and the way it's shot, it looks like sunny and warm and all of that. So I think of that as well. And Sense, of course, I mean, to me, we're not getting to my list quite yet. We're about to in a bit when I get through all yours. But yeah, Sense, Paper Mache, pretty much all of Paper Mache to me also feels like a summer album. It's just such good chill vibes, as long as you don't pay attention to the lyrics too closely. It's a really nice cozy music there. All right, last but not least, for the listener submissions, we've got some coming from Bluesky, just 2 here. First is from Auntie Danger, who says, oddly enough, Cold Cadaver is one of my favorites for spring cleaning / garden work days. There we go with Paper Mache again. I was just talking about Paper Mache from the last submission. Yeah, Cold Cadaver, I mean, yeah, that whole album to me is just so fun and easygoing and great for a nice day. So thank you. I love that answer. And another person here who we've heard from several times, King Shrimpo and the Nonagon Wizard. I always love that name. They said, summer, from the Sleep/Summer EP, which this is interesting, and this might be something that a lot of you haven't heard, and I have to admit, even the huge Gizz fan that I am, doing this podcast and everything, I have never listened to all of the super early stuff from them, all the things that are included on the Teenage Gizzard EP or whatever it's called that was released in 2020. It's a bunch of early material for the band that they decided to re-release because it's stuff that was kind of lost and not really out there to the public other than people who got their hands on a CD or whatever way back in 2010 when they made these early songs. So this song Summer, I actually never heard before reading it as a submission from this person. And the interesting thing about this song is that the lyrics on it are actually lyrics that were later used for the song Muddy Water from Gumboot. Not to get too much into a lyrical discussion here like we normally do on the show, but the lyrics of this song Summer, because they're short, I'll just mention: it's hot, it's mean, summer to me, green grass won't last, sky blue, me too. And of course, we all know that from Muddy Water, so that was so cool to play this song for the first time and hear those lyrics and go, whoa, what the hell, I know these words from somewhere. So yeah, that's the song Summer. You can hear that, as I said, it's on the Teenage Gizzard album, which was released in 2020. It's just a compilation of a bunch of their earliest work that didn't make it to Willoughby's Beach or 12 Bar. And we just covered those two early albums from the band recently on the show, and I think we're going to have to dig into Teenage Gizzard at some point, talk about their really, really earliest stuff that exists, because Willoughby's is not the earliest. There is stuff that goes before that, so that would be cool to talk about sometime. So anyway, that's the song Summer, and I mean, yep, that's perfect. It's right in the name, so I could see that being a good fit for you. They follow along with Muddy Water as well, which is the song that I just mentioned, adapted those lyrics later on, and 2.02 Killer Year from Butterfly 3000. That is a great one, but I think all of Butterfly 3000 is just fantastic for the warm weather. There are certain songs that stand out more than others, but I have a lot of great memories of listening to that on nice days, and again, mowing my lawn to it. I have certain albums that I've spent a lot of time with, while I'm outside just doing yard work or different things like that I really love. And the last thing they said was, or better yet, all of Gumboot Soup. Yeah, I think a lot of Gumboot Soup is super fitting for the good warm weather spring and summer sunny days. So I love that answer. Thank you, King Shrimpo, and thank you to all of you who submitted responses to this. We do put these posts out there relatively frequently when we have episodes like this that we want your input on, and we're always happy to get your input on, whether it's feedback for an album that we just discussed after listening to the episode, if there's something we missed, or something you want to include or give your opinion on, you could always reach out to us. We are Podagon Infinity on all those major social media platforms, and you can send us an email as well if you prefer to go about it that way. Our email is simply podagoninfinity@gmail.com. As I said earlier, I've got some responses from Spencer as well and myself to include in this segment, so let's go to Spencer's first. He says, Pop in My Step. That's one I haven't thought about. I didn't really think about Float Along at all, actually, which is terrible, but Pop in My Step is such a good, fun, positive-sounding song, of course, with Cookie singing on that one. Most of Paper Mache Dream Balloon minus Sense and Trap Door. Flute plus acoustic guitar equals spring is what Spencer said here. Minus Sense and Trapdoor is interesting because I think Sense can work for a nice warm day as well. Trapdoor does kind of have that creepy, frenetic, chaotic energy going on, so I can see that one not working as well. But yeah, the flute plus acoustic guitar, definitely those two instruments, especially more than anything, sound like spring. All of Sketches, all the ambient noise feels very springy and summery. Yeah, I could get that as well. I mean, I mentioned Sketches. I love Sketches, and we've had some people mention that one too from our listeners. He follows with Fishies, mostly the title track. Yeah, I mean, how could you not include Fishies? I can't believe no one else, none of our listener submissions had Fishies. There was mention of the Bird song from the first one I read, but yeah, to me, all of Fishing for Fishies is completely summer. That's actually kind of the reason why I had this idea for this segment for the show, because the other day it was really warm out. It was 80 degrees, and I was at work, and we have this this side door right next to my working area, and I propped the door open so I could get a breeze and just get some of that natural warm sunlight coming through. And Fishies, the title track of Fishies, just happened to come on a playlist I was listening to, and it just got me in the mood and inspired me to do this whole segment here. So yes, most definitely Fishies. Spencer also says most of Butterfly 3000. Yep, I can see that. Some of the songs maybe not, but a lot of them for sure. Mycelium, Spencer fucking loves Mycelium, man. And he put in parentheses next to that, why the fuck does everyone hate this song, with a sad face? I don't know, Spencer, have you seen hate for this song? I haven't seen hate for it, but I also don't hear people talk about it that much for whatever reason. So I do wish it got more love and attention. I do love Mycelium, and absolutely Mycelium invokes images of nature, of plants, flowers and grass popping out of the ground, and mushrooms, of course, making their way along as well. And finally, Spencer's last one here is Mirage City. Yeah, Mirage City, definitely. I think all of B741 is totally summertime rock and roll energy, and I'm going to get to that in my submissions here, my personal picks for the best warm weather music. Number 1, all of Fishies. I've already just mentioned it a moment ago with Spencer's submission of the title track there, but to me, all of Fishies. That is my go-to first warm weather, nice day we have where I can drive with the windows down. I put Fishies on, and I have already done that. Actually, a couple weeks ago, before it was technically spring, we had some nice days, and I was able to do that and get that experience and get in the mood for that nice warm weather. I also put pretty much all of Paper Maché as well, with the exception of maybe a song like Trapdoor, but yeah, all of Paper Maché for me. A lot of Ice Death, especially Ice 5. I already mentioned all my reasons for that. But I also want to include Magma and Lava. I guess mostly because they are hot themes, so it just kind of feels fitting. I really do want to include all of Butterfly 3000. There are some songs that maybe more so than others, but to me in general, it just feels very springy because of the butterfly theme. But Catching Smoke, I think, is a standout, especially because it's just so fun and upbeat sounding. It's just such a good vibe for a nice day. There has been a lot of talk of sketches from these submissions, but I included one song in particular from that album, and that is Spider and Me, because it just talks about the spiders and nature and being out, and there's these sounds of like a babbling brook, running water, like stream kind of sound, like you're sitting out in the woods in nature. That song makes me just want to connect with the outdoors, and so that's the number 1 pick for me from that album. I have some gumboot picks as well, particularly ones that feel like they fit the hot weather theme. Greenhouse Heat Death, which is not a positive thing. It's about, killing the earth with greenhouse gases and all that, which is not good, but it feels like it fits for the heat. I also put Barefoot Desert and Last Oasis in there as well. They just feel like they fit that hot theme. And Last Oasis just has this nice, refreshing feel to it, like dipping into a pool or something on a hot summer day. I had a note about Petro on here as well. I kind of already talked about that earlier because we had the submission of that from Idiot Lizard on X. But yeah, Petro fits for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Maybe even some of Rat's Nest as well, while sticking with the metal here, because there are some hot death themes on that, such as the themes on Venusian 1 and 2, and Hell as well, of course. So maybe you like that one for a hot day. And last but not least, I kind of touched on it already, but Flight B741, it released in August of 2024, and so it was the hot season when it came out, of course, and I was actually on my way to the beach the first time I listened to it. I was heading down to Ocean City, Maryland with my girlfriend for a little weekend trip, and that was the day that album came out, and I told her, all right, bear with me. You'll probably enjoy this too. It's good, just kind of chill rock and roll music, but no matter what, I'm putting this album on right away. I need to listen to this. And so I did. So I have a great memory associated with my first listen of the full album of Flight B741 heading to the beach on a hot summer day. So there we go. That's all of it. Thank you so much to all of you for submitting your responses here. We appreciate getting feedback from the listeners and input on little discussions like this. Thank you to Spencer as well for sending his submissions to me to read off. And this was a lot of fun doing these spring and summer warm weather Gizz talk, getting in the mood for the warmer days to come. Like I said, at least in this part of the world, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere and you're in the spring season right now. And I had so much fun talking about the new CAVS coming out and these Billy Strings anticipations and rumors and whatever you want to call them as well. Gosh, I am, this has been a shorter episode than usual, but I am actually quite tired from talking here. My voice is getting worn out. I'm not used to being by myself. Normally, I'll just talk for a minute or two most at once and then bounce back and forth with Spencer, and I get to rest in those moments. But yeah, this was fun doing my first ever solo episode here. I really hope you all enjoyed it. Again, you can reach out to us and follow us to keep up to date with everything we're doing on the show here on all our social media platforms. We are probably most active on our Instagram just because we put up a lot of story posts there. We share things from other Gizz related pages as well. So you'll get the most from us on Instagram if you do use that platform. But if not, we also post a lot and interact with people on our other pages such as X and Bluesky and Facebook. So follow us on any of those there. Reach out to our email, podagoninfinity@gmail.com. If you've got anything you'd like to request, whether it's a episode request, a discussion topic for the show, or just feedback on a previous episode we've done. As always, thank you for listening to Podagon Infinity, and thank you for keeping it weird and doing your part to spread the good word of the Gizz. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you in the next episode. Later, Gators!